Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another edition of Where I Went Wrong. And in this edition of Where I Went Wrong, I'll be doing Where I Went Wrong, UFC Vegas 66, or you can say UFC Fight Night, Cannonier versus Strickland. So yeah, not the best night. Like ended this year terribly as far as this card. I feel like overall the final ending was pretty good, and I think overall this was one of the better years. But to end on a terrible card, you never like it. But hey, it is what it is. Treat it just like any other card. You get a good card, you roll into the next one. Get a bad card, roll into the next one. But the only thing is, this is the end of 2022, and we go roll into 2023. There probably will be picks for like Risen and Bellator. I don't know if there's any Bellator fights. It's a Bellator Risen crossover, so there will be picks for that card. But as far as UFC, we done for this year, and then we rolling in strong for UFC. I mean for 2023. But yeah, terrible card. I went with 5-8, 5-13. Not the best card in, but let's get to it. I'm not gonna try to sugarcoat it. It's a couple picks where I feel like hey, it is what it is, but I feel like it's very much lessons you can learn from. I feel like even the majority of the fights, it wasn't a case like, oh, it just is what it is for 8 fights. Nah, it isn't what it is. It isn't. It is what it is for all those fights. Maybe like 2 or 3 of those fights, but 8, there's no sugarcoating. Like, but the thing is, you take lessons from them, you get better, and you see the results when I have bad cards, and then I come back and like I'm revigorated and all that stuff, or I see those same fighters later on, and then I get make better judgments from them, but. That's what you need to do. You need to be able to go back, look at the picks, see where you were wrong, and get better. But let's get to it. So 5 of 8. Let's get to number 1 of the first of the L's. And the first one was Fakhrov D. Like, what's the name I'm saying? But yeah, the first one was Renat Fakhrakdinov versus Brian Battle. I picked Brian Battle. And but this one I just didn't feel like Fakhrakdinov was all that tested. I really feel like you can really rate his skills because you haven't seen him really fighting one decent. Not to say that Brian Battle is the most phenomenal guy, but I feel like Brian Battle was a guy that was tested. Even though he has, had half the experience, he was tested. And his competition was like, low-key pretty decent, like for his level. And like I was like, I really got invested in the talent, but it was overlooked with the fact that Brian Battle doesn't really have a traditional wrestling background. He's more of a BJJ guy and a striker, and he's going over a wrestler. But I don't know. Can I feel real super bad about that one? Not really, to be honest with you. But if you were to rate Fakhrakdinov's skills and what his discipline was bringing versus a guy that was lacking in that area, especially coming on short notice, like especially the short notice part, Fakhrakdinov was the clearer pick. I feel like, the result-wise, it was a terrible pick. But as far as just from what we were given, I can't really say, oh, it was the worst pick. I feel like it was a decent, especially from a dog perspective. Him coming as a dog, the guy with more experience at this level versus a guy that's been fighting mostly tomato cans, and he even suffered some losses to not the best competition. So it is what it is, but this definitely makes me I'm not super high on Fakhrakdinov after that performance either, but I do say that performance showed me that Fakhrakdinov does belong in the UFC. He's not just a guy that just ate tomato cans till he got here and now he don't really belong here. When he's gonna face somebody that's real, they're gonna expose him. Maybe later down the line, but right now, he's pretty solid for now. I don't think his ceiling's all that high, but for right now, the skills he presents, he can cause a lot of people at the middle, lower end problems, or people's, and also stylistic matchups. Maybe at the higher end, he can cause issues. But I feel like, matter of fact, this division got a lot of grapplers. But at the top, they're way better than him. But yeah, it is what it is. I feel like this is definitely a lesson. Like it like showed me where Fakhrakdinov kind of stands, and showed me where Brian Battle's kind of weak. Well, showed me where his weakness, and showed me Fakhrakdinov's strength, and also showed me that Fakhrakdinov does belong here. So lessons to be learned in that L, and to be evaluated when these two, not when they fight each other next, but when they fight whomever next. I feel like Brian Battle gonna get a step down. Fakhrakdinov probably get either around here or up. I don't feel like they're gonna drop. Still gonna try. I don't feel like they're gonna try to rush Fakhrakdinov, put him on the fast track. I don't feel like they're gonna do that. I feel like he's gonna have probably 2 years fighting like, who's that guy? Who's this guy? Who's that guy? Or that guy used to be somebody. I feel like he's gonna be fighting those people for the next 2 years. I don't feel like they be jumping up trying, really fighting him relevant, like not giving him relevant names to really flop the division. He's not getting that. And Brian Battle, they might have did that if he would have picked up this win in phenomenal fashions, but he lost in unmiraculous fashion. So yeah, neither guys get the fast track. So next loss was what was the next loss? Oh, Sayakub Kakramanov lost to Syed Nurmagomedov. I died on camera and was replaced by a clone, but yeah, where was my original person at? What was he talking about? He was talking about Said Nurmagomedov versus Sayakub Kakhramonov. And this is one of the picks where I ain't gonna feel too bad about at all, to be honest. I feel like I had a pretty good read on it. And I feel like it was playing out just as I expected, maybe even better than that. It was playing out even better than I expected. I knew that Sayakub Kakhramonov would have the wrestling advantage, given just off a little bit of intel I saw of it, like, Nurmagomedov having issues in the wrestling department, and Sayakub Kakhramonov, outside of the Umar Nurmagomedov fight, looking pretty strong in the wrestling department. And that was playing out. Like, he was even more aggressive in the wrestling department. But and also Nurmagomedov didn't get demoralized out there. He stayed calm. He stayed true to what he was saying. He wanted to go for that guillotine, with that modified guillotine. And he eventually got it with, like, late in the second round. But the fight was very one-sided. And Sayakub Kakhramonov was just schooling him in the wrestling department. And just grinding him up in the wrestling department. But it is what it is. Like, he got caught. And, like, that's all it takes. Like, somebody find an opening on the feet, knock you out, you get knocked out. Somebody find an opening in the grappling, they keep pursuing, and they eventually get it. They win. But if they don't end up being successful, and it's like, well, you look like the smartest guy in the world. Like, he did that. Or you find it full off submission. Hey, you smart guy for picking that. But it's the nature of the game. I feel like my intel was pretty good on there. And also, Sayakub Kakhramonov had never really, I don't think he ever been submitted. I knew he would have the wrestling advantage. He did have the wrestling advantage. He was dominating the fight, but eventually he got caught. I think he was respecting the choke, but I think the thing is that Nurmagomedov stayed calm, stayed composed, even when not the best situation, and was able to eventually find that choke. And maybe on Kakhramonov's side, you try to find, like, no ways to nitpick. I guess you say maybe not be as aggressive with the grappling, and more so to try to work for a position and to try to hold on to him, and not trying to constantly chain wrestle, and trying to necessarily get that true dominant position, but at least get these half dominant positions, and where you're more so making him work to get out of these positions instead of just constantly trying to wrestle grind him and like I said, and chain wrestle him. I know you have the ability to do that. I know that's a frustrating style, but in doing that, it did present opportunities for him to go for that choke multiple times and eventually ultimately get it. But yeah, definitely not a pick I don't feel bad about. I do not feel bad about the pick. That's probably like one of 2 or 3 picks that I say I can in reality can't feel bad about. It definitely raises Said Nurmagomedov stocks extremely, but I don't feel like it drops Sayakub Kakhramonov stocks. It raises Nurmagomedov so that he can. Now, if you're gonna try to wrestle him, you're gonna be in some big issues. There's not too many people in this the weight class who can actually wrestle him like that. There's not too many. So yeah, I gotta go. Good win for Nurmagomedov, but not a bad loss necessarily for Kakhramonov, and not a pick I feel bad about, like, in hindsight, foresight, whatever you want to say. But yeah. The third fight now I think was Jake Matthews versus Matt Semelsberger, and I went with Jake Matthews here. And in reality, with this one, I do feel. I'm not gonna say I don't feel. What I'm saying, I'm not gonna say I don't feel bad about this pick, but I feel like Jake Matthews did okay. I feel like he was actually out striking Matt Semelsberger in, like, every single round, but Semelsberger had the ultimate factor. He had power. Like, Jake Matthews could out strike him, but you get dropped. There goes your round. Like, dropped hard, not dropping. You pop back up and you continue to throw 1,000 punches. You drop up. Those drops that you, like, don't know where you at, and you still get hit with follow-up punches, but you tough it out, then you get back to your feet. So those were, every single time he got dropped, it was a round shifting thing. I think they still gave him a round, and, like, I think maybe 1 or 2 judges gave him a round, but nonetheless, those drops were very impactful in every single round. And just by having the volume and maybe the significant strike total was going to overcome the significance of those drops that Semelsberger was getting in, like, every single round. He got a significant drop in every single round. But one guy was kind of was expecting more with the grab from Jake Matthews, but also got to respect the fact that Matt Semelsberger does have a bit of a wrestling background. It's not like that region that Jake Matthews come from is such a great wrestling region. So maybe the wrestling would have canceled out. And he didn't really go for it too much, but in reality, maybe he probably couldn't have had the success that people were expecting, or I was expecting him to have. If he was just the power was just the ultimate equalizer. I feel like technique, experience was on Jake Matthews' side, but that power and explosive, the athleticism was the shifting factor. That was a significant factor in this thing. Like, you could run a marathon, but I'm gonna catch you with this sprint. That's what literally what happened. Like, you could run this mini marathon, or you can run this 1,200, or you can run this I don't know, 60-yard dash, but I'm gonna run the 40 on you, or something like that. More explosive, landing heavier shots, or landing the heavier shot per round, or the 1 or 2 heavier shots that would shift the course of the round, or just take the round from him. As far as Jake Matthews go, I feel like stocks definitely drop after this one. but it don't drop all that bad. I feel like Max Mosberger's stocks rise, but yeah, what I really go wrong with this one? I guess I definitely like many people I overrated his win over Andre Fiallo, who himself is still dropping after that fight. So I don't know. Jake Matthews still ain't a premier striker. Like he looked good against one guy who don't really have the best defense in Andre Fiallo. He's definitely made improvements from even like in this loss right here. I'm not gonna say, oh, he's still the same guy, because I definitely saw him when he was fighting Anthony Rocco Martin, Anthony Martin or Tony Martin. I remember seeing him just go out there swinging his shoulder out of place, looking sloppy and just winging shots. I seen him in so many fights looking like literally like he had like schoolyard level striking. So his striking has definitely evolved leaps and bounds. He's definitely better than he was maybe a year, 2, 3, 4 years ago. So you can't say, oh, he's this and that. Like, guy has made improvements. It's not like, without a doubt, he has made improvements, but he's still not a premier striker in the weight class or in the sport, but he's definitely making improvements. And I don't know, it's something to evaluate. You could definitely see, oh, this type of matchup is going to bring the best out of him, or this matchup could be an issue for him. So I guess a guy that can maybe neutralize the wrestling and it turns to a striking matchup and striking relatively even, maybe that guy have a power advantage, then you kind of had a question, like, in this fight, like, striking relatively even, maybe Jack Matthews was actually the more technical striker, but Max Mosberger was the better athlete and he had more power, and that shifted dynamic in every single round. So yeah, a match like that, that's where I'm going to evaluate that more. So like I said, if they can match up in grappling evenly, or maybe they got a guy's a better grappler, that's like Sean Brady fight, obviously that's a matchup you can easily fade you easily fade Jake Matthews in a matchup like this. I don't say you can easily fade Jake Matthews in, but it's definitely something where like I seen him lose of the matchup like this, where he was the more technical fighter, but other guy could neutralize him enough, and then he had that power athletic advantage. So that's something to look at going forward, Jake Matthews, and also some stuff to look for against Max Melder. Also, Max Melder wasn't coming off the best win either. He got lost pretty cleanly to Alex Morano. Morano was taking him down, outstrike him. So it's not like he came in here on the best steam either. Neither of these guys came in on great steam. Or actually, Jake Matthews came in on great steam, but because he was coming off that win over Fiallo. But yeah, it is what it is. But definitely things to be considered in that one. It's not just is what it is. As far as that one, like, there's things to learn from it, as I said, for both guys. But anyway, next one we had what's her name? Corey McKenna versus Cheyenne Vilsamus, the two-timer. So yeah, with this one, I feel like this is definitely smack yourself on the face, like smack yourself on the face for that one. I feel like I overrated or just selectively overlooked some of the issues in Cheyenne Vilsamus' game, because clearly in that one fight she got head and arm throwed and was in head and arm position the whole fight. So grappling clearly wasn't her greatest edge. I mean, wasn't her greatest skill set. Then she had gone there with a grappler. Yes, she might not be like an American wrestler girl or some Russian or nothing like that, but Corey McKenna, is a rateable enough grappler in this division. Like, she's solid enough in that department. And Vilsamus still has not really shown that has not really made up for that as far as her grappling in any fight. So I'm not saying it should have been a clear matchup, but I probably should have leaned. I think Corey McKenna was the dog, so I think that should have been a pretty good pick to lean Corey McKenna in that one. But I just feel like I was not necessarily super, super impressed with Corey McKenna, but I feel like it was, like, when you really look at it, it was a clear stylistic advantage for Corey McKenna until proven otherwise, and it still has not been proven otherwise. Actually, it was proven to be so in this one, where she was able to take, like, striking clearly was going to Cheyenne Vilsamus, but she couldn't really stop the takedown, and she was doing okay off her back, but nowhere near as good enough. You need to win off your back or get off your back or get a submission. So if you're not getting a submission, you're not getting off your back, you're not winning off your back. So in reality, if you're not getting a submission, like, get off your back, because the chance that even you really winning off the bottom, you're really not going to win on the bottom. Probably at 99% of the time, you're not going to win the bottom. Even you busting a person out, putting them to sleep halfway with elbows off your back, most of the time you're on your back, you're not winning. That's based off the judge's preference. Like, very, very slim chance you will win that. So you can't be on the ground not getting a submission. You got to be working to get back to your feet, or make it, be so good off your back or so threatening off your back that your opponent like say, I don't want to play that, and they just stand up and let you get up. But yeah. So clear stylistic advantage for Corey McKenna that I overlooked. So that's what that one. So we got the battle, we got the Kakramanov, we got the Matthews, we got the Vilsamus. Now, fifth one was Cody Durden versus Mikhail Oleksichuk. And this one, I think I had Oleksichuk. I don't know. I'm not gonna say I originally had it. My final pick was Cody Durden, and that's my fifth L. I just saw that At his time at light heavyweight, Mikhail Oleksichuk did have he did have a grappling weakness, a weakness to grappling. Like, he was not the biggest guy, and even at middleweight, he's still not the biggest guy, and he hasn't really filled in on anything at middleweight. So he looked like all he really did was cut down weight. So he's still kind of the same guy, same frame. He's just not fighting the biggest same. He's not fighting the same size of guys, and maybe not the same experience, maybe not the same level of skill. Because I said Cody, that's because Cody Durden or Brundage. If I say Durden, it is what it is. Cody Brundage. Brundage was my fifth L, and he's not fighting the same skill level of guys, and he's not fighting the same experience level of guys, and not fighting the same size. I think that's one of the most biggest factors. He's not fighting the same size of guys. He's fighting these smaller guys, more so middleweights. He's not fighting light heavyweights, some guys who could even be small heavyweights. So he's fighting middleweights now. And I still can't really rate his takedown. I think he got taken down 4 or 5 times in this fight, but he was able to get back to his feet and eventually be able to put his hands on Brundage, even probably end up in his guard and land some shots to finish him off. So definitely got some power, definitely got some striking. I think his weight class fits him better. I think going in against a better, more experienced grappler, I feel like that weakness in his game gonna be more prevalent and gonna be more exploitable. But lower end, I feel like he can thrive in this division. But I think when he start getting higher up, I think they're gonna bring out those old weaknesses or show those old holes in his game. But at the lower level, I feel like he can thrive. Lower to middle, maybe he can thrive. And stylistically wise, lower middle, he could thrive. But yeah. And on Brundage's side, like I was saying, like when I was picking Brundage, I was like, he hasn't really shown at this level to show an ability to go for like 5, 10, 15. Well, I'm gonna say 5 to 10 takedowns around. He's a younger guy, so I feel like that's something that you could, it's still exceptional, but something you could expect or want to expect from them because they're younger. Like, can he go for like 5, 10 takedowns around? That's like really, I feel like my investment or my pick or whatever is safe with this guy because he will go for that many takedowns. He's a cardio machine, wrestling beast, and he can go for this many takedowns. And I've seen the strength in his wrestling. I've seen the technique in his wrestling. It's not bad at all. Come prior to this fight, and but I had not seen it over the course of rounds. I have not seen it. I feel like most part of his fight, like UFC, they've been finishes, and they haven't really been a result of a wrestling effort, like a knockout over Trayson Gore, and a submission over Dalcha Lugambula, like off of Lugambula going for a takedown. So it was like we haven't really seen him really go out there and stack wins on top of just being that wrestling machine. So if he was that guy, I feel like, especially before reputable guys and did that to them, that would be like, oh, my money's safe with him in this fight. But it was more so a reach. Like I feel like he can do that. That's what my pick. I feel like he could possibly do that, but ultimately he couldn't. He was the one who got put away. But it was a bit of reach pick. But then again, you're going with two guys like Mikhail Oleksichuk, still not really settling in factor at middleweight. We don't really know all these dangers yet. We still got to test him and stuff, see where he can go, his ceiling at middleweight. And Cody Brundage is still very much a fresh face in the game. He's not a guy that's been around. We've been around for 2 years max, and you probably could add in contender series in that as well. So two guys Oleksichuk has been around probably for 5 years or so, but that was more so his career at middleweight is just starting. And Brundage, as far as his career in general, is just starting. So like, I don't know, I try to fill in some blanks, and they just didn't fill in them properly. And I gotta go back, rehash, and see like, where did I go wrong? So I can better fill in that hole when making future predictions. So that is what it is. I'm saying that too much, but I'm not trying to say that. But what I'm trying to say is on to the next pick. So 6th, Bobby Green versus Bobby Green versus the massive chin, the immaculate chinception, Drew Dober. And this one, it was looking just how I was expecting, maybe even better for Bobby Green, but like the Sayakub Kakramano fight, it is looking good till it's not. It's pretty much the same exact fight, except in the striking department. Like, one guy just grappling another guy, or this fight, one guy just, they playing in their specialist department almost, and one guy just, tooling another guy. The next thing you know, your guy getting choked out or knocked out. So in this one, Green was going out, this new Green could outbox. On the Green was fast. I knew Green had a technique. And also Green's not like these muscle bound guys who just get tired after the first round. So that second round did look juicy and ultimately still materialized for Brundage. I mean, it still materialized for Dober, but it wasn't the same. It was not the same exact scenario. Different scenario. but definitely not luck. Definitely not luck. I'm not gonna be one of the people saying, "Oh, well, it was luck. He was winning, and then this happened." Like my guy lost. It was not luck. Judoba eventually, Judoba was cutting off cage decent enough, and also Bobby Green was started to fall into his own pattern and stuff, hanging too much on the cage too much, and Judoba was able to like set him up and catch him. Like he saw a flaw in his defense, and he was able to catch him. It wasn't a case of like he got caught. Like it was luck. You fell into a defensive pattern, and Judo was able to capitalize on it. And there's pretty much, if like I said, Green had well, hindsight or foresight or whatever you want to do it. Like if he would have maybe had some cleanups from his defense a little bit, he could have avoided that situation, or read the situation better, he could have avoided that, or in the future he can avoid that by improving upon his defense, improving upon his footwork. I'm not saying it's bad or anything, but it's always a chance to make improvements, and especially when you get caught, like that shows you like you still have lots of room for improvement. But nonetheless, Bob Green was looking pretty good. This is one of the picks where I'm not gonna feel bad about too much. Like I said, it is what it is, but it's definitely intel to gather. And definitely as far as picking a striker against Drew Dober, it's really gonna make me like, if he's going there for a guy that's gonna strike with him, or that's a guy that's don't really have the energy to hold him down for 15 minutes, or the skill to finish him on the ground in that 15-minute time, then it makes, like I said, it makes Drew Dober look more of a juicy pick in the future going forward. But I feel like a lot of people are gonna be on him now in those situations. But yeah. But Bob Green was looking good, especially the dog. He was looking pretty good in this one. And I thought he was gonna make it to a decision. I thought he was savvy enough on the feet. I thought he had the cardio. I thought he had the skill. I mean, he did, but all it takes is one, and you get quoted, your pattern get read, and somebody finds the opening on you. They land it. It is what it is. But yeah, I feel like both guys' stocks still rise, but I don't know. On to the next, that's what I'm gonna say. On to the next. Like, no need to drag anymore. On to the next. So 6. Now 7 was Julian Erosa versus Bruce Leroy. And the result of the fight is like, yeah, I can't be too mad about that, because Bruce Leroy has never shown really that finishing ability on the feet. And for him to come out there and hit this Bruce Lee kick on somebody, or Bruce Leroy kick on somebody, and knock him out like that, like, yeah, the MMA guys just not liking me tonight. That's what that feels like at that point. Like, the MMA guys just not liking me right now. They just doing crazy stuff right now. Who wouldn't have Bruce Leroy ever really dropped somebody and then on top of that finish them? I know Julian Rosa, when he loses, he does lose by finish a lot of times. Lose by getting knocked out. He don't really lose too many decisions. Lose by getting knocked out cold, and that's what happened. But Bruce Leroy, when does Bruce Leroy ever knock somebody out? I thought it was a match where Julian Rosa should have been in a match everywhere, and then maybe been able to use his muscle around, maybe submit him, maybe just bully him a little bit. Bruce Leroy has been bullyable a lot throughout his career, been out muscled, just been manhandled around a lot of times. And I thought Julian Russell could do that. Like he could match him technique or surpass his technique in any area on this fight. But then also on top of that, Julian Rosa himself is a bit of an awkward guy. So both of these guys, as I said, were inconsistent guys in their own way. So, but I don't know, like this based off the records, like you kind of really lean to Bruce Leroy getting a knockout. If anything, I felt like it would have been like an awkward fight where, like it was, but it wasn't even awkward. Like it was awkward because Bruce Leroy wanted it to be awkward. Bruce Leroy was fighting pretty good in that fight. It wasn't no case, so it was just some lucky kick. I don't feel like Julian Russell ever really got settled in the fight. I feel like really Bruce Leroy was setting him up the whole fight, and he was landing cleaner shots, landing clean kicks, not allowing him to really step how he wanted to step. Like he was moving gingerly, getting his legs kicked. Bruce Leroy set him up. Good performance by Bruce Leroy. So like both guys went. Julian Russell probably was coming off like the best performance of his career, and now Bruce Leroy just went in there, took his whole steam, and had the best performance of his career likely, and looked the best he probably looked in his career. Well, I'm saying, man, is that the best he looked? It's definitely like top 3 best performances from Bruce Leroy. It's definitely top 3 best performances from Bruce Leroy. Why am I saying his name like that? It's definitely top 3 performances from Alex Caceres, or you could say Bruce Leroy, ever. So it's without doubt top 3 for him. But yeah, I guess I don't know. It's a pick. I don't really feel bad about that one. I think what I say average. I might even say high confidence. If I said high confidence, then that's what I would feel bad about. But knowing how awkward I said average. Couldn't go high. I knew how awkward these guys are. Both of these guys are awkward. So awkward people have awkward outcomes. So Yeah, I can't be too mad about that one either because, like I said, again, awkward fighters have awkward outcomes, especially when they match with each other. Like, you might as well just flip a coin, bet the dog or something, or bet something odd like a finish for like Bruce Lee or that, which would probably net you some good money. I'm pretty sure somebody did it. It's like awkward fighters have awkward outcomes. How does guy lose? This like even though Bruce Lee doesn't do this, it's two awkward fighters, so expect the awkward outcome and expect the dog and expecting them by a finish like a first round. So I think that it wasn't under 60 seconds, but nonetheless, on to the next. And then the final one, I'll make this one short. We had Arman Siakarin versus Damir Ismagulov, and I picked Damir Ismagulov, so this is my 8th and final L of the card. And with this one, I'm just be flat out. I don't like. I didn't know a lot about. I mean, I didn't know all I needed to know about Damir Ismagulov because I feel like his wrestling defense had held up pretty well and had looked pretty solid. His offensive wrestling looked pretty decent, and he looked like a cleaner overall, better. Overall fight. He like the cleaner fighter, cleaner striking, and more composed fighter. But like also, like I said, I didn't know where his wrestling was at. And Siakarin showed where his wrestling at, and he showed where Damir Ismagulov wrestling was, and he was able to wrestle him up pretty much the whole fight. In hindsight 2020, or not even 2020, just looking at it, who would be in better position to wrestle for the course of the fight, or who would be better positioned to mix the wrestling in, and that would be Siakarin. And who had the 5-round experience, or was it? It's not a 5-round. Did he have a 5-round fight? I think he did. I think Gamrot versus Siakarin was a 5-round fight. So he had that 5-round experience in the UFC. And he had shown ability to wrestle and chain wrestle and scramble well. Whereas we haven't really seen that from Damir Ismagulov. He didn't look bad in those departments necessarily, but clearly Arman Siakarin was the one engaging in those and initiating that, and that was a big factor. And he controlled the course of the fight. He's mixing the takedowns, which opened up opportunities for his striking, and he was just the better equipped fighter for that fight. Simple as that. Like, you start to mix in and you find an edge, and then other things open up and present themselves. Damir Ismagulov was not able to find that. Damir started falling apart on the feet, and then Arman Siakarin started having even more success on the feet. So it wasn't like no embarrassingly beat up performance, but it was clearly one man, Arman Siakarin, who was in the driver's seat of that one. I don't feel like Damir Ismagulov was ever able to get going because Arman Siakarin had him having to defend the wrestling the whole time. And then when he was trying to strike, all he would do is like touch him with the kicks, draw in takedowns, and just like make him play his fight for him. Like, you gonna try to get into striking range, I'm gonna take you down. You gonna try to get in boxing range, I'm gonna take you down. I'm gonna kick you apart from kicking distance, and then when you get into boxing distance, I'm gonna take you down every single time. So good performance from Arman Siakarin, smart performance, and he definitely puts himself back, in that picture, or at least on the cusp of that picture, that he definitely has the talent to be in, maybe even thriving, maybe even one day be a future champion. He definitely has all those potential. Still a very young guy. Yeah. In the final fight, I'm just gonna say I picked Cannonier. I think it's like 3rd round knockout. He got a decision. And all I'm gonna say is I feel like the decision was right. That's literally all I'm gonna say. Decision was right. Striking totals were relatively close. I feel like Cannonier landed flusher. And like I said, the striking total was probably, and I think even in the rounds, I think Cannonier still outstruck him like 3 or 5 rounds. So he outstruck him at least 2 to 3 of the 5 rounds as far as total strikes, insignificant strikes. And then in every single round, he landed more power shots. And the shots that Strickland talking about, he wobbling him. When you look in slow-mo, he was missing. Whereas when Cannonier hit, you clearly see that he hit. Like, you see Strickland's ears wobbling him and getting punched in the face. Where more so, Cannonier just getting knocked off balance because he's trying to reach a taller fighter and coming with so much power. So you kind of hitting it, which is like your forearm, or hitting with a little bit of nothing, or you touching his shoulder, and he's already kind of off balance, but so it's not even like wobble. You want to get your ears punched around and getting pushed around the ring with body shots and hooks and such, etc. So yeah. And even down stretch, Cannonier was landing the better shots for the most part. So yeah, close fight, but Cannonier landed more shots, I think, or roughly around the same shots, and he landed the heavier shots, and that's no debate. And more consistently throughout the fight, and was more consistently the fighter pressing, and Strickland just allowed him to be first, and that's the issue. A lot of times Strickland, I don't think Strickland really even started to turn up to really like 3rd or 4th round. And even then, he barely turned up. So clear winner, I feel, in Cannonier. Definitely close fight, but I feel like a clear enough win for Cannonier. Shouldn't even have been a split decision, to be honest. And Strickland can't be mad because it's not like he really took any risks in that fight. He didn't really let his hands go too much in that fight. He waited till really the championship rounds to even really throw a flurry out it. So his loss. Definitely his loss. And that's the video. So going to 2023, gonna try to be better. That's all I can do. Try to be better and be better. Finish this card 5-8, terrible, but we move. We go on to the next one. We learn. We lick our wounds. We come back stronger, and that's what I'll do, and that's what I've always done, and that's what I'll do again. And that's the video. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, and come back for more videos. Peace.